Welcome to lesson 4, R data structure. Till this point we have learned basic syntax of R, but now we are getting more deeper into what are the different kind of data can be stored in R, and there are specifically 5 different kind of data structure can be stored in R, and we'll discuss about it one by one. So first is vector. So unknowingly in the last couple of videos we have already used vector. So whenever I was actually storing numerical value in A or B, that A or B was nothing but a vector. So vector is a one-dimensional array where you can store a similar kind of data type. So you can store all the numeric data in a vector. Then again you can store complex, similarly logical or character. You can store these things in a vector. Now similarly, if you want to, that is one dimensional, but if you want to store two dimensional, then you need to use a matrix. Suppose this was, you want to store age of your employee in a variable employee age, then you can store it in a vector. But suppose you want to store age as well as their salary in two-dimensional way, then how would you do it? Then you would probably use matrix, because this is a two-dimensional array. Now what about array? Array is a similar to matrix, but it can store more than two dimension. So if you want to store age, salary, then location, designation, then that would become your array. Now till this point, till array, we are storing similar kind of data. So salary or age, all those things were actually numeric. But what about if you want to store numeric as well as a character variable? Character variable is nothing but like which can a character can be stored like gender, male or female. So you want to store male or female also, then you need something which can store different kind of data types. Like you want to mix numerical with categorical, or you want to mix categorical, numerical and logical, something like that. So that's why we use data frame. So data frame generalizes of matrices where different columns can store different mode of data. So we'll discuss in detail for each of them. And then list is something where you can store all those other four. So you can store a data frame in a list, you can store an array, you can store a matrix, and you can store a vector as well. But let's now discuss focus. This is also a very good representation of how these are different to each other. So if you see vector, matrix and array, those are actually homogeneous. So they can store homogeneous data, either numerical or character or logical, but only difference in dimension. It's a one dimension, it's a two dimension, and it's multi-dimension. But if you talk about data frame and list, those can actually store different kind of data types. So we'll see in a moment. But before that, let's learn about the basic one, which is vector. So suppose you want to store 42 in vector 1, and then you can see the result in vector 1. So similarly, if you want to store more than one variable 1 to 5, I have shown you both the ways. Either you can use combine function, and using comma you can store 1 2 3 4 5, or you can store 1 to 5. So only advantage is, suppose if you want to store it 1 7 9 3 and 5, then also you can use that combine function and you can store it. And if you see the class of this vector 1, then it would be a integer. And similarly, if you want to access a particular, suppose right now you have 1 2 3 4 5, but you want to only access the second element of your vector, then you would get probably 2, since 1 to 5 is stored. Similarly, you can also access 1 and 3 from that vector. So we'll quickly see the demo of it as well, and then we'll come back for the character one. So suppose I'm removing all the variable what is being stored till now, and we'll start afresh. So suppose 42 is being stored in vector 1, and if you want to see what is your vector 1, then you can see 42 is being stored. Similarly, if you want to see the second statement where I am using combine function, press Ctrl Enter, and then if you want to see as well what is being stored, then you can see 1 to 5 is stored. And the same thing can be done using that colon operator, and the same result will be shown 1 to 5. And if you want to see the class of vector 1, that is nothing but integer. And as I was saying, that you can actually access a particular element, that you were saying that you want to access second element, or you want to access first and third element. Okay, so you are actually accessing first and third element. Now suppose this is actually a integer, all those things were integer, but what about float? Suppose you have decimal number like 4.5 or 5.5, then how would you actually do it? So suppose if you mix integer and float values and you want to store it, then all of them will actually convert to float. As I said, because vector can only handle a single type of data types, so everything will change to a float, and then your class would become a numeric. It's now not integer, now it's numeric. I hope this part is clear. So this is about numeric vector. Now let's discuss about character vector. So how we normally store? So I have discussed earlier. So within double quote, you have to pass the value which you want to store. Suppose in vector 2 I want to store universe, but if you want to store more than one character variable, then you have to use the combine function. Use combine function, you can do it. And if you want to see the class of it, then you would definitely get the class as character. Then if you want to access the third element or the first or third element, just now we have seen in numeric vector, similarly you would get the answer here as well. Okay, but if you want to mix character and numeric, then values will be converted to a character one. So we will see the demo and learn from there. So we are discussing about character vector now. So first I want to store vector universe in vector 2, and let me see what is being stored in vector 2. Universe is being stored properly, and you can see here as well. You don't need to see all the time, but it's a good practice. You can see it as well. Using combine function, I am storing universe, sun and moon, and I can see the result as well. And if you see the class, that is character, and if you want to access third element, then that is your moon, and if you want to access first and third, that is universe and moon. That's how we are doing it. Now as I said, the second example, if you want to mix character, so this is your character, and if you want to mix with float and numeric, so we have seen earlier that if you have a integer and a float, then everything will be converted into a float and the class would come as numeric. But if you want to store all of them, then everything will be converted to a character one. Let's do it. So vector 6, what is being stored? Okay, these are being stored, but what is the class of it? As you can see, now everything is converted into a character one. So I hope you got a feelings about numeric and character vector. Now let's talk about logical vector. So as we have learned earlier also, so you can store true or false, which is actually logical vector in a vector. So suppose vector 3 we are using here, and you want to see what is being stored in vector 3, false. Similarly, if you want to store more than one variable, that is true and false, that also you can do. And ultimately, if you see the class of it, it would be logical. If you want to access a particular element of a vector, that also you can do. That's what we have learned. And again, we will see the preferences after mixing with numeric and character in demo. Let's go to the demo. Yeah, so suppose we are first storing false, and we can see the result. Then we are storing true and false, we can see the result. Then we can see the class of it, which is logical, and we can access as well. Now we are mixing a numerical value with a logical. Okay, then numerical would be given preference. So if you see, everything is now changed to numerical. So true has been changed to 1. Similarly, false would be also converted into 0. Similarly, you can see the class of it. And then if you actually mix it with character, as you can see, this is a character, this is a numerical, and this is a logical. And then ultimately, if you see, the class, ultimate class would be logical. That's how you can understand that character would be given preferences. And this paste function, I think we have learned earlier also while I was talking about inbuilt function. So if you use the combine function, so if you combine Uma and Maheshwar and try to store it in name, whenever you see the name, it would give you this kind of result. But what if you want to see it as a name and title? Then probably you can use this paste function and you can see it. I think that is for vector, and next we will learn about matrix.